Hilary joins us now, Hilary Calvert, to talk about issues of that. Your reaction to that, Hilary?
Yeah, I've had other things on my mind this week. My feeling about some of those things are your feeling you get when the music stops but people keep dancing, or the circle thing is still moving and the rats died, or whatever. I'm hoping it is the end of an era, from people who are deeply troubled. Not the beginning
it doesn't
of something.
seem to be. I mean, this is ramping it up. This is last weekend. This is sport. This is the politicisation of rugby. I mean,
yes,
this is using that stage to cast a particular. Sorry?
That will contribute to people not watching rugby.
Well, certainly not watching the women's rugby or the Hurricanes teams or franchise. That's true. I mean, I can barely imagine the Otago Highlanders do it, but the next time they do a haka or anything, are we expecting all our rugby players to suddenly become, advocates for?
Was it the Highlanders who've been the spot of bother recently about taking a position? They spoke up for something or against something?
God knows. The Highlanders, they can't play rugby, and they get their team in.
It's not their business to. That's not the opinion of the Highlanders management or something. It's just a few rugby players. People said they should stick to their lane, really, which is quite a good idea. But we've made sports people celebrities, haven't we?
Well, falsely in terms of women's rugby. I mean, they try to create celebrities because I suspect they're women, not because they play rugby, but because they're women and they're brown women.
I'm not going there with you, Michael, about the women thing.
Listen, women can't play rugby. It's bloody obvious. If they played them against a team of secondary school boys, it would be 60-0 to the boys. I mean, it's like men's netball. You just stay in your... Actually, when you just said stay in your lane, play the sport you're meant to. But when you move into declaring war against non-brown people in this country in a haka on your local stadium, and you deliberately do so and knowingly do so and then are very proud of what you've done, you've moved into an area where I consider you to be the part of the problem, or you'll never be part of the solution.
And I think what it does is contributes, like they're saying about the American elections at the moment, it isn't necessarily that people will vote against Biden, but they just might not turn up. That's what I think.
Right. That's exactly what
happens often. They just don't bother. They can't be bothered with any of the crap.
Just on the Biden thing, though, you would have seen the poll over the weekend. New Zealand media finally, I mean, these polls have been coming out of America for months, can I say, but they've not been reported in New Zealand, but finally, I guess you can't ignore them. And that is that the majority of Americans think that Joe Biden is, frankly, mentally incompetent to be able to be the next, or to be re-elected as president. Which obviously makes President Trump, particularly after the Supreme Court decision this morning, in the, you would imagine, favourite lane. But can I just ask on that one, you've lived a life, you've been interested in politics for much of that. Like most New Zealanders, you've always been fascinated by the United States and other countries and how they run the show. Have you ever come to a conclusion as to why the United States could turn out with two candidates that are so manifestly unfit for the position?
You wouldn't have thought so, would you? I just don't. It's because, of course, they do it individually. They both are supposedly putting their best foot forward. And look what crap feet those are. You've got to say, for a country who used to, and I didn't have any quarrel with it, I just thought it was true, to be the sort of leader of the free world. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't be saying that now, would you?
Well, I'll tell you what...
it's what they do, as well as it's not just that with a pack of old men vying for a place. It's that the decisions they're making or not making are not the decisions of leadership. They're not any sort of leadership. They're just an embarrassment, really. Or I'd be embarrassed. And in fact,
I was trying to think.
I've spoken to her.
Well, I was just trying to think when it all started, and it goes back a long time, because I remember Clinton getting prosecuted. Remember, they tried to impeach him for basically having an affair with the junior, and you go,
I have
the
not
French
had sex with that woman.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it was a silly thing to say, but he should never have even had to be answering any questions about it, to be perfectly honest, because your private life's your private life, as far as I'm concerned. That's for Hilary to worry about.
Well, he should have said that, though.
Yes, I guess so.
But it's, I think, social media and other things, and it's been a perfect storm. And what's happened recently is the plummeting of ideas about people having faith in the media. So people don't believe a word they're saying, in combination with the fact that they can go on social media and hear less moderated and stupid opinions sometimes. And so they believe that those instead, because quite frankly the ones coming from the mainstream media are a complete load of crap. Which takes us to John Campbell.
Go.
John Campbell is the poster boy for what people are criticising in activism journalism. And here's what he said he described Christopher Luxon's victory speech in a column. He said, "On he went triumphantly, as large and largely meaningless as a decommissioned lighthouse. He was winning election night word bingo. He was Boris Johnson channeling a Reader's Digest Winston Churchill. He was the talking mechanism from inside the flawless plastic body of an action doll." He went on to say, "We voted, in short, to resuscitate a conservative free enterprise, largely male, largely Pākehā status quo, inject it with the adrenaline of self-made man aspiration, dress it in the smart casual ubiquity of a mobile banker, give it a Pepsi Max and barbecue tongs, and call it a new direction." Now, state-funded broadcaster.
Dripping with scorn, dripping with sarcasm, dripping with hate.
And if that was you or me, people might say, "Oh, that's just like them," or something, if they didn't like us much. And they would say, "That's it, I've just had enough, I'm not listening to them again." You know, they're just getting too extreme. But this is state-run broadcaster, TVNZ's chief correspondent. Now, that's
right.
Just close to unbelievable to me.
No, it's not just the bias, is it? It's also, it's not just the bias, Hilary, it's also the venom. I mean, everything that you've just read out is scorn, ridicule, contempt, in essence, hatred. And yet,
this is somebody who
we pay for this man to do this.
How long has John Campbell been in the media for, or a journalist or something? It's got to be 30 years or whatever.
Yep.
This is a man who uses words for a living. This is a man who tries to persuade people of the things that he believes to be the case, the news, the whatever, chief correspondent. And those are the words he uses. That's the best he can do. And I'm presuming he's paid, what's he paid? Somewhere between 600 and $1 million.
Yeah, he'd be at the apex of the pyramid. Yep.
Right. Yeah. So, and he's using that role to spill out that garbage. And it's not that I disagree with him. It's not about disagreeing with him. It's the words. Complete crap.
So what you're also saying to me, and you're using it to buttress the point, that it's little wonder then that if John Campbell and his fellow travellers, Jack Tame would be another one, of course, he's started to write columns now too, are exhibiting these views and expressing their contempt, it is impossible for us to believe anything that emanates from them or the channel for which they write as the truth.
Yes, and added to that, is that they sometimes call them commentary and sometimes they call them opinion or whatever, and sometimes they call them news. So it would appear that his bosses can't or don't want to discriminate between reality and opinion. And in fact...
Well, no, they've doubled down. But the head of TV News, when asked about this issue, doubled down and said he is entitled to his views and we believe that it's a good thing to give them a vehicle. So, obviously, Television New Zealand's news editors, the head of news and the management of that station see no difficulty. And yet, ironically, from the New Zealand Herald through to even left-wing liberals like Jennings, for example, they're all going, mate, we think you've crossed a line here, and TVNZ don't see that.
Front cover of North and South that it's on, and yes, they're all having a crack. And because left wing, we can acknowledge left and right wing, but people are just saying that's crossing a line, and it's not crossing a line by being biased. That would be too simple an explanation. It's just crap, and it's unbecoming, and it's, goodness me, would you give them any more money, TVNZ, at that point?